the first items happen in past century is privatization. Privatization is the opposite of nationalization. Privatization means transfer of government-owned enterprise or firm or responsibilities to private sector. Throughout Eastern Europe, government have owned everything, socialism, from industry and business to agriculture, land, energy facilities, agriculture, marketing, board and transportation network. Process or steps of privatization presumes that private ownership of means of production enhance efficiency and growth. This is the aims of transfer the cost and the benefit of privatization or transition from or to private sector. Objectives of transition from socialism to capitalism throughout formerly socialist industrialized world are greater efficiency and growth. But transition has posed many problems for people. As anything, there were advantage and disadvantage. Inflation has made it difficult for consumer to afford basic needs. Happen in socialism country, great inflation. Farmers has been hit hard by increase in price. The first group is the farmers suffer from this transition by increase in price of inputs such as fertilizer, price and the price they receive for food product often still remain artificially low. Workers, second group, suffer from this transition from socialism to capitalism. Workers have been laid off defense industries, government job, and privatized business and other work frequently have not been paid. Some workers lose their job. Corruption is often widespread and organized crime is sometimes rampant. Corruption and steal. The 21st century is question mark. Although policies to liberalization and will undoubtedly continue, struggle and dissatisfaction of ordinary people may slow down or change nature. There's some people not want this transition. In some countries, transition may even be reversed, because this country not need to transition. Opinion polls show that large share of population wish to return to the old days because of inflation and lost their job, and farmers suffer from increase the input of land and agriculture when they are provided with housing, job, child care, and medical care, but now not. Critical issue in transition to free market economics in Eastern and Central Europe is safety net for people. Government must ensure that people's basic needs are met, like house, shelter, food, and health. Less developed world, developing countries, economic reform. Much of less developed world is undergoing process referred to the economic reform. Developing countries adopting policies that move economic toward free market are engaged in liberalization. Economic reform predominant in 1990s and 2000 has roots in international debt crisis of 1980s. That crisis has roots in the world economic condition of 1970s, the oil crisis. 1970 oil crisis, most significant economic event of 1970s, began with restriction of oil supplies by Organization of Petroleum Export countries, OPEC, Arab oil embargo, and quadrupling of oil price between 1970s and 1974. Among less developed countries, limited number of OPEC countries received massive increase in earning and more money from oil export. Non-oil exporting countries suffered huge increase in spending for oil export. What are the effects of oil shock? Effects of oil shock are threefold. First, OPEC nation began process of recycling oil revenue, depositing much of oil revenue in US and Europe financial institutions. Oil price increase caused generalized inflation and high price and subsequent recession throughout much of the world. Combination of reduced export and the earning increased oil import expenditure caused less developing countries to borrow from the International Monetary Fund, what called IMF, as well as from commercial banks. The 1980s debt crisis because of increasing the oil price. Second, the phase of borrowing fund when OPEC and Iranian oil embargo again sent oil prices soaring in 1970 occurred at the time of great concern in US over inflation that largely generated by escalating oil prices or increasing oil. High inflation rate persisted until early 1970 when Federal Reserve America engaged in counter-actionary monetary policy. Consequence, inflation brought under control, but expense skyrocketing interest rate and subsequent US recession that later spread of worldwide. Since less developing countries started borrowing from commercial bank as opposite to IMF, large protection of lending agreement stipulated variable interest rate which were rising very rapidly. Interest payment by less developing countries borrower increased as well. Raising interest rate in US has secondly effect of pushing up value of dollars. This impact of dollar. Raising dollar made less developing country payment for oil import even more difficult because of oil is value in dollars. Less developing countries and the borrowing fund. By 1988, less developed countries had borrowed more than $1,000,000,000. In many less developing countries, however, borrowed funds were grossly or greatly misused, not used in right investment, or can used in consumption. Lender had so much lending capacity that they neglected to take adequate care in who they lend to and for what purpose. Another problem was capital flight. This is whereby borrowing fund by reinvest in financial market or real estate abroad. Corrupt government is a very important. Official or business people with access to borrowed fund often invest this fund overseas, abroad, rather than using them for local projects. When government fail to invest borrowed fund, productivity naturally hampers ability of borrowing countries to repay the debt, interest, and the loans. Debt repayment amount of money that must serve debt or interest payment plus repayment of principal of debt represent large expenditure in any particular year. Debt service of less developing countries mean that significant proportion of gross national income was transferred out of the country. Since gross national income of less developing is typically small and any expenditure toward repaying a debt will directly harm this affect well-being of people. Debt, in additional problem of debt repayment of allocation income for debt service is a problem of form that transfer must take. Debt repayment must be made from of currency initially borrowed. Thus, repayment must typically be in US dollar or in currency of other major countries that we call hard currency. Less developing country have very limited means of obtaining hard currency with which to make payment. May earn foreign currency through export to other countries, to foreign investment by other countries, FDI, and international assistance, continually borrowing of repay past debt. The 1990 economic reform, final phase of debt crisis, occurred as many countries were forced by inability to meet payment schedule to seek financial assistance from International Monetary Fund. IMF assistance has typically involved conditionally foreign countries to undertake vast number of economic reform as condition for assistance. Reform include requirements that government reduce spending, private. This is the requirement of IMF to give you debt. First thing, reduce spending, private government enterprise. Conditions, allow food and other prices to raise to market level, reduce control on foreign trade and investment. The 21st century, less developing countries have had mixed reaction to economic reform. In many countries, privatization has resulted in massive layoff of public sector employees or workers. In other countries, food prices have been met with roots. In still other countries, economic reform have created rebate economic growth and national prosperity. Hope and we need economic reform throughout less developed world lead to economic growth, and that benefit of growth will reach people, but at least in short term. Poor are ones who suffer most. Critical issue of is existing adequate safety need for poor. Many rejection nation that economic reform along with capitalism and the market-based economy will ultimately benefit poor, turning toward the version of socialism in reaction to failure of conservative policy. Thank you.